Have you heard about the Third Temple? Do you know why its construction is such a crucial milestone in biblical prophecies? Today, let's delve into this intriguing topic which associates the building of the Third Temple with the appearance of the Antichrist. This is the Shalom Biblical Stories channel. If you're not subscribed yet, take the opportunity to subscribe, give your like, and comment your opinion on this fascinating subject. According to the sacred scriptures, the construction of this emblematic temple heralds the arrival of the Antichrist. But where exactly will this temple be erected? Prophecies point to Jerusalem. Now you might ask yourself, why Jerusalem? Let's rewind to the time of the Old Testament. In that era, the tabernacle was the heart of the Israelite congregation. In Hebrew, tabernacle means dwelling or residence, symbolizing the divine presence among its people. From the Exodus from Egypt to the arrival in Canaan, this dwelling of God was the spiritual center of the Israelites. During the 40 years of wandering in the desert, caused by the disobedience and rebellion of the people, the tabernacle was dismantled and transported each time they changed camp. Therefore, Israel had no fixed location to settle and remained wandering in the desert until finally reaching Canaan. After intense battles, they conquered this city, which God had promised as the eternal home for the Israelite people. About 300 years after this conquest, during the reign of King David, the desire to create a permanent space for the divine presence was born, replacing the mobile tabernacle with a fixed temple. It was then that King David ordered the construction of the first temple in 1015 BC. However, it was Solomon, his son, who actually began and supervised the construction. According to the Torah, the Hebrew Bible, this first temple was erected exactly where Abraham nearly offered his son Isaac as a sacrifice, marking a place of profound spiritual significance. The project was ambitious and used vast resources that King David had accumulated. The foundations of the temple were laid on the third day of the second month, and construction was completed several years later, still during Solomon's reign. However, the dedication of the temple was postponed until the following year, aligning with moments of great celebration and significance for the entire nation of Israel. In this particular year, which coincided with a jubilee, the 9th since its construction, the temple faced several adversities. It was looted repeatedly and finally completely devastated when Nebuchadnezzar, in 597 BC, invaded and set fire to the site, taking all the sacred treasures to Babylon. After 70 years of Babylonian exile, a new chapter began for the people of Israel. With hearts inspired by God, Cyrus, the new king, promoted the return of the Israelites to their ancestral land. Under the leadership of Zerubbabel, a group of about 50,000 people retraced their steps back to Jerusalem, marking the beginning of the reconstruction of the Second Temple. This new temple had its foundations rebuilt on the same site as the old one, symbolically beginning with the construction of an altar. The construction of this second sanctuary, begun in 585 BC, faced interruptions during Cyrus's rule due to resistances imposed by the Samaritans. However, construction resumed in 521 BC, in the second year of Darius I's reign, and the temple was finally consecrated in 516 BC. This temple differed from the first in several significant aspects. It did not contain the Ark of the Covenant, the Urim and Thummim, the sacred oil, the consecrated fire, or the tablets of the Ten Commandments. This narrative takes us on a journey through crucial moments of biblical history, reflecting on the power of faith and the resilience of a people seeking to restore their connection with the sacred. Let us continue to explore how these historical events influenced not only religion, but also Jewish culture and identity over the centuries. Additionally, the vessels containing the manna and Aaron's staff were also not present in the Second Temple. In 70 AD, this temple faced its final fate at the hands of the Roman general Titus, who was tasked with quelling a revolt in Judea. Jerusalem was devastated, and since then, the Temple of Jerusalem has not been rebuilt. Today, all that remains is the imposing Western Wall, a remnant of the wall that once surrounded the precinct of the ancient temple. But how does this relate to the figure of the Antichrist? According to sacred scriptures, the construction of the third temple is an event indissolubly linked to the emergence of the Antichrist. Did you know that preparations to erect this third temple are already underway in Israel? There is an organization called the Temple Institute, dedicated exclusively to making this reconstruction a reality. The Temple Institute's long-term mission is to erect the third Jewish temple exactly on the Temple Mount, currently occupied by the Dome of the Rock. One of the most controversial goals of the organization is the reinstatement of animal sacrifices, an ancient practice it wishes to revive. To achieve these ambitious objectives, the Institute focuses on the meticulous study of temple architecture and rituals, as well as developing the utensils necessary for worship to resume immediately after construction. This scenario leads us to reflect on the complex layers of faith, history, and politics surrounding the possible construction of the third temple, an event that would not only redefine the religious and geopolitical landscape of the region, but could also have significant implications for world peace. The Temple Institute, located in the Jewish quarter of the Old City of Jerusalem, operates under the leadership of Rabbi Israel Ariel, who founded it. Currently, the Director General is Dovid Shah, and the international department is led by Rabbi Shlomo Rich. This institute has not only received significant support from Henry Suicha, a billionaire from New York, but has also obtained funding from the Israeli government. The architectural design of the new temple is already complete and represents an impressive fusion of revelations from sacred texts and cutting-edge technology. This modernized temple will feature various amenities, including underground parking, temperature control, elevators, public transportation docks, and wheelchair accessibility, among other conveniences. This fully computerized structure is designed to meet contemporary needs while preserving its sacred function. At the current moment, when the world calls for peace for Israel, the Temple Institute has initiated an online fundraising campaign, allowing people from around the world to contribute to what they consider a definitive solution to the conflict in the region. Recently, the Institute achieved a significant milestone by resuming ritual sacrifices at the site. Additionally, new Levite priests have been trained by the rabbis to conduct the rituals detailed in the Torah, including those involving the Red Heifer. It was also announced that all 102 pieces necessary for the interior of the temple are already ready. This development not only highlights the dedication of the Temple Institute to prepare all aspects for reconstruction, but also underscores the potential impact of this construction on regional and global tensions and hopes. Among the preparations for the reconstruction of the third temple, almost all necessary pieces have already been crafted, including the veil that separates the Holy of Holies. However, the Ark of the Covenant remains the missing and most enigmatic element. According to the rabbis, it is believed that the Ark is buried beneath the Temple Mount, and there are hopes that it can be recovered once Israel regains full control of the area. One of the most fascinating aspects of the preparations is the birth of the Red Heifer, considered a crucial prophetic sign. Recently, the birth of a heifer of this color was announced in Israel, which is seen as essential for the rededication of the temple. According to Jewish tradition, only 9 red heifers have been sacrificed since the time of Moses until the destruction of the Second Temple. The sacrifice of this heifer is vital, as its ashes are used in the purification of Israelites who have had contact with death, a ritual that allows the maintenance of the necessary sanctity for worship in the temple. The rarity of these animals and the complexity of the associated rituals have led to disqualifications of previous candidates in 1997 and 2002. where initially the animals seemed perfect, but later defects were found that made them unsuitable for the ritual. Faced with these challenges, the Temple Institute has invested in advanced technology, attempting to produce a genetically perfect red heifer using the Red Angus breed as a base. This effort not only underscores the Institute's dedication to fulfilling the scriptures, but also reflects a fascinating intersection between ancient faith and modern technology. The red heifer described in the Bible symbolizes purity and perfection, essential elements for purification rituals according to the Old Testament. According to the biblical passage, God instructs Moses and Aaron about the exact specifications of this heifer. It must be perfect, without any defect, and never have been subjected to a yoke. The detailed process involves Eleazar, the priest, who must take the heifer outside the camp, sacrifice it, and use its blood for sprinkling before the tent of meeting, symbolizing purification. For Christians, this ancient ritual is seen in a new light, as they believe that Jesus Christ, without any defect, fulfilled these symbolic requirements through his death, rendering animal sacrifices unnecessary for the expiation of sins. Yet for many Jews who don't recognize Jesus as the Messiah, these practices and rituals still hold deep significance and are seen as essential for purification and sanctification according to Mosaic laws. This historical and theological context is particularly relevant in the discussion about the construction of the Third Temple. Many Jews believe that the reconstruction of the temple in Jerusalem and the resumption of animal sacrifices, including the sacrifice of the red heifer, are prerequisites for the final redemption and the Messianic era. This viewpoint highlights the continuity of ancient traditions and the hope for full restoration, as described in Jewish scriptures, reflecting the complex interaction between faith, tradition, and modernity. The belief in the construction of the Third Temple is deeply rooted in some Jewish traditions associated with the coming of the long-awaited Messiah. However, in Christian eschatological narratives, this same construction also signals the emergence of a tumultuous and decisive period for humanity, marked by the appearance of the Antichrist. According to sacred scriptures, the arrival of the Antichrist will initially be welcomed by many, as he will emerge as a charismatic, generous, and peacemaking figure, capable of finding solutions to chronic problems such as poverty, misery, and conflicts. His ability to establish peace agreements will be such that he will gain the admiration and worship of the masses. However, this international adulation hides a sinister reality. After a period of apparent peace and prosperity, the Antichrist will reveal his true nature, desecrating the temple of God and demanding exclusive worship for himself. This act of desecration is a crucial point in biblical prophecies, as it marks the beginning of the Great Tribulation, a time of suffering and trial like never before seen in history. The prophecy continues to detail that the Antichrist, after making a peace covenant for a brief period, 1 week in prophetic terms, will break this agreement halfway through, ceasing sacrifices and offerings in the temple. This event will be followed by abominations and destruction, known in scriptures as the abomination of desolation, mentioned by the prophet Daniel. This is a warning sign for all believers about the imminent consummation of events and the urgency of spiritual preparation and vigilance. This complex tapestry of beliefs and interpretations reveals how ancient prophecies continue to shape the expectations and actions of faith communities to this day, illustrating the intersection between faith, history, and prophesied future. The eschatological narrative you describe is deeply rooted in Christian beliefs about the end times, as detailed in various passages of the New Testament, especially in the books of Daniel and Revelation. These prophecies are interpreted in various ways within Christianity, but the common essence is that of a period of great tribulation and testing for humanity. According to prophecy, before the end comes, there will be a period of apostasy, a mass departure from the faith, which will be followed by the revelation of the man of sin, also known as the Antichrist. He will be a charismatic leader who initially appears to be a promoter of peace, but will ultimately reveal malignant intentions, demanding global worship and persecuting those who resist his power. The events will culminate in a period of unprecedented distress, such as has not been since the beginning of the world. The prophecy suggests that if it weren't for divine intervention shortening those days, no human being would survive. However, because of the chosen ones, this time will be shortened. The climax of this period will be a great persecution of Christ's followers, during which many will be martyred for refusing to worship the Antichrist. In response to this persecution, heaven will reveal the sign of the Son of Man, and all the nations of the earth will mourn when they see Jesus Christ returning with power and great glory in the clouds of heaven. This return of Christ will mark the end of the Great Tribulation with the Battle of Armageddon, where the Antichrist and his forces will be definitively defeated and thrown into the lake of fire. This event will not only represent the victory of good over evil, but also the beginning of a new era of peace and justice, as promised in Scriptures. This narrative is a powerful reminder for many believers of the importance of vigilance and fidelity to their faith, even in times of great adversity and challenge. As detailed in the passages of the Book of Revelation, the Christian eschatological narrative encompasses events ranging from the temporary imprisonment of Satan for 1,000 years to the creation of a new heaven and a new earth after the final defeat of evil. During the millennium, it is believed that Christ will reign on earth, establishing a period of peace and justice before Satan is briefly and then definitively defeated. The prophecies about the construction of the Third Temple in Jerusalem are seen by many as a premonitory sign that aligns with these scriptures, indicating that ancient prophetic events are manifesting in modern times. This interpretation generates considerable fascination, especially among those who follow how the actions of influential figures and geopolitical developments may be converging with the biblical descriptions of future events. The idea that such ancient prophecies can describe contemporary events with such precision is intriguing, and for many, reinforces faith in the truthfulness of these scriptures. This perception can also be a source of comfort or fear, depending on how people view their role and the significance of these events in the larger panorama of history and spirituality. If you are interested in this topic and want to explore more about biblical prophecies and their relevance today, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to not miss any content. Share this video to help spread these reflections and participate by leaving your comment below. Thank you very much for your audience, and until the next video, may God bless you.